Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting. Now, Lippy.
Hello. Round two.
Round two, yes. So we're recording this on the back of the one that you would have heard on the 2nd of February, but don't let that put you off. So this is episode 107, which originally was for the end of September. So there's going to be some odd things in here that may
don't make sense.
Out of place.
You'll be like, you're so far behind on current news.
We
Not
very
that we
rarely
talk about
do
current news.
No. So my first piece is on one of my favourite topics, which is the use of over and out in films.
Oh, God.
And once again, it was in something. And I think you're supposed to be ex-military. You would not say over and out. Just wouldn't happen. Anyway, so I've expanded this a bit to the terms Roger, which I use quite a bit in messages.
Roger.
And wilco.
I don't know wilco, actually.
Slightly. So Roger means, very specifically, your message has been received and understood.
Ah, what about Roger that?
Well, Roger that message. So it's the same meaning.
Okay.
So Roger is...
So Roger that isn't like over and out.
No, it's not. It's Roger that. The message that you sent, Roger to that. So maybe it should be Roger to that. So wilco means your message has been received and understood and I will comply.
Ah, sneaky.
Well, sometimes it's a bit of information. So if you imagine you were flying an aircraft and you had a message from the airport you were going to say, we've got thunderstorms at the moment. The response to that would be Roger, because I've heard you, I've understood. I can't do anything at the moment.
No.
But if you're coming into land and the tower says, the runway's full of ice, abort, you would say wilco, because you've heard it, understood it, and you're not going to land. Exactly. So those, very important, those two. And it goes on to say affirm, not affirmative. Affirm simply means yes. Negative means no. And then it goes on to say what over and out means. So if you ever hear somebody say Roger wilco over and out, they are nothing to do with any military pilots, anything like that. It's a Hollywood film.
But you do realise your sensitivity to the subject just means that all of us say it more on purpose.
Of course I do. Absolutely.
So you do realise the next time we're all on holiday together, I shall be saying Roger wilco over and out.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure you will. You'll be locked out of the camper van. You'll be on your own.
Got a tent that I've only slept in twice.
Yes. That blew down because you didn't put it up properly.
It didn't blow down the second time we put it up.
Oh, okay. Well, did you have strong winds? Anyway.
No, I don't think we did.
Moving on. Other things that I've spoken about is the use of midnight. And I was complaining about it again to wife of Grumpy over something. And she started to talk and then she just stopped. And she said, I'm not interested in this conversation. I know what happens. I don't like it.
I'm not interested enough to go down this road.
No. So, as you may or may not know, I'm a trustee for the Cranleigh Heritage Trust, and our only project at the moment
old people looking after old things.
It is old people looking after old things. Well, maybe we'll use that as a strapline, actually. So we have got a cottage hospital in Cranleigh that's not been used since the 1980s. And it was originally built in the 1700s. And it is the first cottage hospital in England. The building's beginning to deteriorate quite rapidly. There's a hole in the roof and it's beginning to get damp and what have you. And we quite like to restore it. And it's owned by the NHS. They're prepared to lease it to us for a very, very small amount of money. I think it's £1 a year or something. On those peppercorn rent, they call it. And we've applied to the National Lottery Heritage Funding. And we've got through the second round now. So they grant us some money to put together a building plan. And it's a grade 2 listed. So we have to obviously talk to the conservation officer. And there's some things that we would like to do in terms of the entranceway. that would be a change to the building, and we'll make the entranceway very modern. And they've done it with the art centre across the road. So the original building is intact. And they put a glass entrance on it, which looks very modern. And it actually works because you can see the difference between the old and the new.
Yeah.
So we're in a period now of, I think it's about 6 to 9 months of planning. And at the end of that, we then go through the third round. And if we get that, then we've got nearly enough to do the whole project. And our aim is to bring it back to a usable building. So there's some rooms up there that were one was the old operating room. And then there's a couple of wards, which are decent sized rooms. And we can turn those into some sort of consulting room. So it could be for counselling.
Can we do a Ouija board in there?
You cannot do a Ouija board in there.
An old operating room. I bet there's so many ghosts in there.
There probably are, actually. There probably are, yeah. I'll put that forward at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're delighted we got through that because this is the first project of its sort that we've ever done, the group of trustees and other consultants. We've brought in quite a bit of expertise in terms of dealing with the lottery themselves, but also managing the project. We've got a really good team of people that we're paying for because that makes sense. No point us doing it. We don't know what we're doing.
No, you want it done right.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can go raise money. We can do all the sort of the admin stuff.
Yeah.
To
actually do the building work. And
so I think September we know whether it goes through to the next round. So
it's a long process.
It is. Well, planning is a year. I mean, we got this last September. So, we've had a few months of doing this. But it's a lovely, lovely building. I've been in there a couple of times recently to do some 360 photos for the website, and it's well worth saving. It's such and it's the birthplace of the NHS in many respects. That's where it started. So it's good project to be involved in. And I got my arm twisted last year to buy a new television.
Oh, it was the best decision you ever made.
Well, you say that. I don't think there was anything wrong with the other one. I mean, admittedly...
No, there was.
Well, admittedly...
It was huge. The TV was huge and the screen was tiny.
There was quite a frame. It wasn't tiny. It was...
You still had it was like one of the first plasma screens.
It was a very early Panasonic plasma. And
it had a really thick black border.
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. But also, you're not utilising the space.
Well,
I found it hard to watch that TV.
Well,
and I'm 28. You're like however old you are.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got 4K eyes. But the previous telly I thought was okay. The picture was okay. The tuner had stopped working, so we had a freebie box, and the sound was dreadful, so we had a sound bar. But apart from that, it was perfect. It used a lot of electricity and it weighed a ton. Apart from that, it was perfect. So we bought this Samsung telly, which I was surprised how cheap it was. I have to say.
We have Samsung tellies.
And plugged it in, and it nearly went back. And the reason it nearly went back is this thing that they call, I haven't written it down now. It's motion smoothing. So the idea behind it is a movie is filmed at 24 frames per second. But the television can work at 200 frames per second. So what it does is it guesses the frames in between.
Yeah.
So you get a smoother motion. And for some reason, it's called the soap opera effect. So this is turned on by standard. So you turn the telly on, and the first thing, you get motion sickness.
Yeah.
And I watched this. I can't watch this. It's horrendous. And we've been watching Bones on Disney, which is a good procedural program to do with, people that have died.
Bones.
So Bones of people that have died. And we couple of seasons in by the time we got the telly, and we watched one of those, and wife of Grumpy felt motion sickness. She said, I've got a headache and I'd feel sick. So we went to bed and this can't be right. It just can't be right. So anyway, so I did a bit of reading on the internet, and I came across a number of articles, and it told you what to turn off, basically, to make it better. So I was digging around a bit further, and I found a message from Tom Cruise, not to me personally, to the world. And it's when they released Top Gun Maverick on streaming channels. He said, whatever you do, don't watch it with motion smoothing on. He said it will ruin the film completely. And in fact, the filmmakers, the film studios have got so uppity about this that they've managed to get the TV makers to have this filmmaker mode. And the telly seems to automatically detect when there's a film on, and it switches it into, so it turns all this rubbish off, so it's back to normal. And I have to admit, it's a really good picture. It took a while to get it right in terms of contrast and that. This is not my moan. My moan is why, when you get the telly, you plug it in for the first time, doesn't it go? You're a bit like when you go to the opticians. No, because do you prefer this or do you prefer that? Yeah. Do you prefer this? And so it guides you through the perfect settings for how you want to see the telly, not how the manufacturer wants to show off about all the features it's put on that the majority of the world turn off.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's the same with the opticians. You go, is it clearer with this or is it clearer with that? And that's the route they go. Should be exactly the same with.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. We had that with ours, and we were watching a football game, and the ball, you could see the ball. Yeah. Like behind the ball, it looked like a little like rocket because it was just moving across. Yes. You could just see it tracking behind, and we were like, "That's not okay."
No, it's not okay. It's really weird. And what I found is that the character would move, and you get this, as you say, this swoosh behind it.
It's like a shadow of them moving behind.
Exactly. But your eyes would go further, and then you have to move your head back again because it hadn't gone that far. Very weird. So
uncomfortable.
If you bought a new telly, turn that off straight away.
But it's a good telly.
It's good. I have grown to like it.
It's very clear.
Yes, it is.
And it fits the whole telly, the screen.
Yes, it does fit the whole screen. And we've only got one remote. Well, two with them.
Yeah. You used to have like 30.
Well, there was quite a few.
There was. I couldn't use your TV. I hadn't lived there for a while, and it just got too many, and I couldn't remember which ones did what. Yes,
we managed to remove quite a lot of boxes, but I have had to put the Chromecast back on again so I can watch certain videos that don't have a app on the telly.
Oh.
They've got some sort of web browser, but it's rubbish and it's really difficult to use. So it's easier just to do it on your phone and then cast it. So there is an extra box, but that's pretty well hidden. Now, back in September, I've got a note in here: Twitter to charge all users, which I think is on its way. I did see something yesterday when I was looking about paying to remove ads, I think it was, which seems... but I also saw that Mr. Musk has been referred to as Space Karen, which I quite like. And I'm disappointed that's not in common parlance some months later.
Space Karen.
Space Karen.
That's great.
Yeah.
He is a Space Karen.
Yeah. And interesting, I read an article back in September about the development of Threads, which is the Facebook, Instagram version of Twitter, which I've looked at but not really engaged with very much.
It's not quite the same.
It's not quite the same. You would expect it to be the same. It's a bit like
it's
Pepsi
more
and Coke.
like Facebook.
Yeah. But the development of that is very interesting in the way that they did it. And I'm not going to bore you with it now.
Cheers.
But they did it in a very short period of time because they spotted there was an opportunity with Twitter going down the toilet due to Elon Musk's unique management style. And they turned it around very quickly. And in fact, they removed the team from the rest of Facebook. So they just worked on their own. So there was very little...
influence.
Yeah, but it was more, you know what it's like if you try and do something by committee, it takes forever. It's better just to have a smaller group of people that work well together to get something done speedily. And I think they achieved it. It's a very good example of how to develop software quickly and efficiently. If you're into that sort of thing, it's worth doing. So talking of building, you've had a bit of building work done at home.
We did, yeah. We had our very adult room put into our house.
Yes, it is very adult rooms.
Very adult.
Yes, so we saw it last weekend, and it's really smart, and it's hard to remember it as that dingy,
disgusting,
bathroom.
mouldy bathroom.
It wasn't. Well, it was better when we ripped everything else, and it was.
And it still stank.
Yeah, still stunk. So that's a really good room.
Now.
Yeah, really good space.
Yeah, with a toilet. Utility with a toilet.
Toilet.
And I forgot how big it was. And it's felt a bit weird using it, to be honest, because we've only been using it since Christmas.
Yeah.
And we haven't used it for 2.5 years.
No, that's very true. Yeah. Gosh, yeah.
But yeah.
So, very good. And that seemed to be quite painless.
It was actually. It was delayed. It took longer than it should have, but...
Always does.
Yeah, it wasn't... Well, I mean, I was sick with the flu for a week of it, so that week just kind of flew by.
Yeah, it always does take longer. And having had the kitchen here put in just before Christmas many years ago, it's not a good idea because they...
Yeah, just before Christmas is not a good time to have work done.
No.
Because everyone wants everyone wants their thing finished before Christmas.
Yeah.
So the poor guys were like doing half a day at ours and half a day at someone else's, trying to just finish things off.
Yeah, that's exactly what... We didn't necessarily want ours by Christmas. They said we could do it before Christmas. Yeah. Oh, okay then. That's
Neither
fine,
did we. We just booked in for when he was free, and then it got pushed back a week, and then that's when it ended up over literally the start of December and finishing just before.
Well, that's a good usable space you've made.
Very adult.
Very adult, yes.
I have a tumble dryer. Is that what they're called?
Tumble dryer, yeah.
A tumble dryer. It's really weird.
So is Duckboy allowed anywhere near the washing machine?
Duckboy doesn't really do... I do most of the washing. I'm quite specific about the washing. So he doesn't... He does it if I'm not around and he needs to do a wash, obviously, but... I tend to do the washing because I'm very specific about what I put in to keep the machine nice and clean.
I'm discouraged from washing anything apart from microfiber cloths and my dust cloths that I may use for any sort of DIY or dump transportation. Anything that involves clothes, I'm ushered away.
Yes, he's very worried that I'm going to shrink stuff in the tumble dryer though. But I don't tumble dry stuff to dry. I tumble dry it to get it partly dry, get the creases out. It's been a big thing. Our clothes have been less creased.
Yes, less ironing.
Up for it to finish dry. So nothing really shrinks because it's not been tumble dried to dry.
I saw a top tip this week in the cold weather. You stick your clothes in the tumble dryer when you get in the shower, and when you come out again, they're nice and warm.
Ooh.
Good idea.
Or like a blanket for the evening.
Yeah.
While you're like cooking dinner, throw a blanket in there. Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Good idea. Obviously not particularly environmentally friendly.
Yeah, or very cost effective.
Now, one of my favourite biscuits is a Tunnock's caramel biscuit.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
can't
biscuit.
go far wrong with that. So if you remember back to DJ Finn, we helped him move from Brighton down to Cardiff back in December. We got through a fair few of the packets of Tunnock's biscuits because it was a long old trip in a very heavy van. And one of my joys in life is reading the back and seeing how many they sell per week. And that has gone up dramatically. And it's now 7 million per week.
Oh, my God.
7 million of those biscuits. And what I'd like...
700,000 of them is probably you.
Very possibly. Very possibly. But what I really like is the fact that they're the same size. So wagon wheels, I'm sure, have shrunk. And many other things
but the
have
packet
shrunk.
still seems the same size, but the wagon wheel in the packet is definitely smaller.
But wife of Grumpy came home from golf Thursday with a Snickers bar, or marathon, as people of a certain age still refer to it. And that is definitely smaller than they used to be. Definitely. So I'm really pleased that the Tunnock's biscuits are the same size.
A Tunnock's biscuit. What's the other one that the same company do with the marshmallow?
It's a marshmallow. I can't think what it's called. Is it a tea cake or tea cup?
Oh, yeah, tea cake.
Yeah, so it's a chocolate.
Tunnock's
they're
tea cake.
They're really good. I mean, what a great factory. They're banging out biscuits that just
they're
bring
doing great work.
Joy. It is great work. That is exactly it. I would love to work somewhere like that. I'd probably get bored within 10 minutes, but you're banging
imagine
out.
how many you could eat. How many ones that don't look right.
You get sick of them. Yeah, absolutely sick of them. I remember years and years ago, my dad was a carpenter and joiner, and he went to this factory in Footscray for something or other. I can't remember what the job was to measure up, and I was with him. And he got back to the car. He said, "Do you know what that bloke does?" I went, "No." He says, "All he does." I say, "All he does." What he makes are the tops for the foil Chinese takeaway thing.
Oh, the little cardboard tops.
The cardboard tops that go in the top. That's what he makes, and he's just bought this house costing so much. Incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So there are people that have got these little niche businesses, and you see it a lot with the car restoration industry. There's some people that do some amazing work, and they're very, very specialist. Plastic welding and stuff like that. It's really, really interesting. Very good. But it's like digression from the biscuit.
I could do with a Chinese.
You had one the other week when you came to us.
I did, but it was really good. That's why I feel like I want another one.
It is very good. They cram that. Unfortunately, they use plastic, and that's...
They do, don't they?
We were looking at it, looking at it the day after going, not sure I like that.
It is a lot of plastic.
Take them back somehow. Maybe there's something there that you returnable Chinese or food things.
You get charged less if you bring yours back.
Yeah, exactly. So another film that was on in September. We'll catch up next time, don't worry. One of my favourites from 1998, which is Enemy of the State, with Will Smith and somebody else in. Who's the other bloke? Who's the other bloke that's in Enemy of the State? Gene Hackman. Sorry, had to look it up. Gene Hackman. Very good film. And so Gene Hackman plays a character called Brill, who's one of these sort of hackery type conspiracy theory people. And unfortunately, due to Will Smith not following his instruction, or Brill's instructions, he has to blow up his office quite spectacularly.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I do remember this film.
And he utters the words, "That's why I have rules." He's so right. So right.
That is
people,
so you.
This is why I have rules. Not turning up 24 hours before I'm due to, because I understand the concept of midnight. This is why I have rules. But I have a question. So Will Smith is as an attorney, and he uses this researcher who's connected to Brill somehow, and the film explains all of this. And the researcher contacts Brill by putting a cross on a post box, an American post box on a road, just with chalk. And watching that, and then they go back to the same post box some weeks later and do the same thing. Who is it that's rubbing the chalk mark off?
I'd assume it was him.
Well,
once he had seen them, rubs it off.
But that's quite obvious, isn't it? I would have thought there would have been a better way to have contacted him, bearing in mind that he didn't have any sort of mobile phone or electronics on him at all. So sending a quick WhatsApp message wouldn't have been appropriate for this gentleman. So it was old school stuff. But you think, it comes up in spy films where there's a dead letter drop or something like that, and they mark it somehow. Who cleans it off?
Who cleans it off?
And what if it's the mailman going, "Oh, look, somebody's graffitied the mailbox again," and rubs it off before Brill gets a chance to see it? Exactly. Exactly. I think it's
He probably
fraught.
has a camera on it at all times, though.
Well, that would be electronics, which he wouldn't have because it leaves a trace.
Oh, yeah.
Unless he can see the mailbox from his house. Because we didn't find out where he lived, just where his
hideout was.
Yes, his lair.
His lair.
Anyway, I highly recommend that film if you like.
It's a good film.
A bit of action. There's some good actors in there, actually, that are quite young. And good old Jack Black, who's one of my favourites.
Yes.
Now, as you know, one of my favourite characters, and in fact one of Duckboy's favourite characters, is Alan Partridge.
Yes.
But we've had a bit of a falling out because Mr. Partridge has mocked people who cut sandwiches not on the diagonal. I am very much a rectangular sandwich boy.
You are a rectangular sandwich.
Not a triangle. The problem I have is I find them a bit too flappy. If you pick up a rectangle, you've got it all in your hand. There's no flappy bits. But with a diagonal, you've got bits at the end that are flopping all over the place. So I don't really, really like it. However, I found another sort of wrong when it comes to sandwiches.
Did you?
And this was wife of Grumpy.
What did she do?
She got the bread. It's hard to describe this, but the top of one slice was at the bottom of the other.
Oh no.
Yeah, quite.
That is a big red flag.
Yeah, and I looked at him and went,
Why?
I'm not sure I can eat this.
Why did she? Because I'm actually in shock. What? Why?
Slapdash. A slapdash approach to assembling a sandwich.
Oh, that just seems ludicrous.
It does really, doesn't it? No, it doesn't.
And realistically, you put your bread out and you unfold it, so the same side against the same side, and then you just fold it over.
Exactly. So if you've got one bit if you've got one side that's squidged in, you get both squidged in bits.
Squidged in.
Yep,
yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know whether we're just a bit weird.
No, I think she's lost it. That's it. Send her to a psych hospital. She's done.
Well, Wife of Grumpy is now Lady Captain.
Oh, she is
for
Lady
this year.
Captain.
So we're not seeing a lot of Wife of Grumpy at the moment. Much to Floyd's disappointment as well as mine.
She's Lady Captain.
Lady Captain. And apparently that means playing every golf match laid on.
She's in her element. She's having the time of her life.
Certainly is.
Thankfully, it's only for a year.
Yes, quite. I think I've been roped into various duties as...
You are the husband of the Lady Captain. You have to attend all the formal events.
Yes, I do. Yes, and I think I've been roped into manning the hut, which is on halfway round. One of the charity days. So I do feel a bit like Dennis Thatcher, for those of a certain age. So, Lippy, no top tip this week.
No top tip this week. I will do my best to I might come up with a new category.
That's a good plan. I like that.
Because I've done a lot of top tips.
Some of them have been good.
Some of them have been interesting.
They've all been interesting, I'll tell you that.
So I think I'll spend this time thinking of a new category where I can have lots of new information.
Good. Okay, well, you think away. I've got lots of fun facts still to go through because I've been collecting them over the last few months. So this one is in 2009, a South African IT company's employee complained that data would get transferred faster by carrier pigeon than on ADSL. So for those who...
You mean ASDL?
Oh, ASDL. It does say AS. ADS. No, it's ADSL.
Oh, it's different at different points.
Yeah, no, it's ADSL.
They've made a spelling mistake.
They have made a spelling mistake. A pneumonic mistake.
The Fact Republic have made a spelling mistake.
Wow. Yes, so Winston the Pigeon, interesting name for a pigeon, armed with a 4 gigabyte memory stick, remember this is 2009, took 2 hours to carry the data 60 miles. In the same time, the ADSL had sent 4% of the data.
Oh, God.
Therefore, in 2009, a carrier pigeon was in fact faster than ADSL in South Africa.
Shocking.
Indeed. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.